Welcome back, guys. We've got a big problem, huge problem, and I've got to pose a question to you. And the question is, what do we do with this map? Because let me just show you. All right, if I turn on my icons so that you can actually see like stuff moving. Although I can just zoom in, to be honest. If I increase the speed of this, you can see the lag. Now we've been running into this. I did a live stream on Sunday, and we did a few things. We widened a few of the bridges. We moved up to 1912. We've now got cars everywhere. But lag is definitely an issue. Now, okay, the first thing is, I am really enjoying this map, and I really want to do the whole railways thing and do everything. But if we're going to run into this kind of lag, and you can see that, like, after a while the lag kind of goes away, but you can still see it's stuttering just slightly, right? And that's at this stage. We want to go a lot further than this. Well, there's a couple of things that we can do potentially, but they're big. They're big. I mean, okay, first option is we just call it, because the traffic is insane. And I've spent many hours today trying to figure this out, and really it's just a bit of a nightmare. And the problem is it's only going to get worse, because if you look at, for example, let's look at Midtown Manhattan. Midtown Manhattan is currently 1,260 people. It's grown. It's got a 500% growth factor because of the destinations, the public transport and the private transport destinations. But that's before we've hooked it up to like the rest of the map. You know, like I've brought this line into Jamaica, which is basically hooking us up to all of these. When I bring that in to Manhattan, like, then what's it going to be? It's going to be even more, which is kind of insane and crazy. So something has to be done. And I thought to myself, well, hang on, like, what if I just like took out some of the towns and thinned it out a bit, right? So I came over here to North Bergen. Let's turn these icons off for a bit. So I came over here to North Bergen, and I surgically removed it, right? You can't just like delete the thing, because it deletes all the, like, let me show you. So if I came up here to Fort Lee, okay, you can see that turn red, so turn yellow as well, because all the roads will be deleted, like including this bridge over here, right? So I can't just go around deleting towns. That's not going to work. What I had to do with North Bergen is individually delete each building, right, until I got it down to like one building, and then removed it. Which is yeah, is a big job. I wouldn't have minded doing it. But it's a much bigger job than that, and let me show you for why. These towns are like way too big. The original starting towns. Let me demonstrate. So I was looking at Fort Lee after I took out Bergen. Now Bergen had spread out, and it was kind of all over the place. And I started looking at some of the other places, and Bergen was actually one of the best towns. If we look at somewhere like Fort Lee, right? Because I was looking at Fort Lee and thinking, my God, look how it's expanded all out here, right? I mean, I put these bus stops in, and let me just show you these bus stops. So, right, when I put those in, they more than covered what we'd got, and now we've expanded, filled that up, and gone beyond, right? And this is only going to get worse. So I thought, well, let's have a look at Fort Lee. And you'll see that, okay, you know, Fort Lee's covers a big area, but actually this isn't Fort Lee, right? And the same on the other side, like over here, this isn't Fort Lee. Oh no, right? All of this over here is actually, if I can get to it, Upper Manhattan, right? Upper Manhattan is as spread out. Look, it's all into the Bronx and up here and all over this side. Harlem is even worse. Look at Harlem. Because it's lagging. We've got Harlem Builders Jamaica. It's very, 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 and all out here because Harlem was built this map. I think didn't actually play test this map. They just kind of built it, made it look good, and don't get me wrong, they've done a fantastic job in terms of the road layouts and getting all the bridges and tunnels and everything, and the overall map. It's brilliant. I love it, right? But the town's way, 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 way too big, right? I mean, let's see, how big is Harlem? Let's see. So Harlem, the original town was 241, right? Well, yeah, you multiply that by 500%, make it 5 times bigger. Yeah, well, you're going to have a massive problem. So, so the question is, what do I do? Now, what I can do is do what I've done with North Bergen, remove North Bergen, and then put it back in. But now, let me show you. I'll just demonstrate over here. If I put in, I'll put in a tiny town, right? I'll put in a tiny town, and I'll put in a small town. Come on, I'll put in a small town there, and I'll put in a medium town over here. Okay, so the medium town's like, it's around the 150 mark, right? Target population. This is the initial size, 150. Okay. The small town is around 100, and the tiny town is around the 60 mark, 50, 60 mark, right? You look at somewhere like Harlem, right? Now we can see, you can just see, like if I mouse over this with you can just, okay, that is what, twice as big it needs to be, like as big as it should be. Now this is going to get big, so we want this to be 140 town. That's the initial size. So this should be, I mean, I'm thinking maximum it should be a small town of 100. Now if it was 100, you multiply that by 500%, and it goes up to a town of about 550 people. And then if we look at Harlem again, come here, Harlem, you know, so we'd be like 500 rather than 1350, or 15, or 550 rather than 1350. That would make things like a hell of a lot more bearable. I mean, the same, and it's the same for all of these. Look at Midtown, all over the place. Look, it turns yellow. There are buildings, Brooklyn and Queens. It's building like south of Jersey City. It's like literally, it's all. I'll show you again. Look, it's all over the. I wonder, can I, if I angle the map like this, I might be able to see even better. So come on, show me. Look. So yeah, now can't just click and remove each individual building, right? And of course, so I have to like mouse over and then go back to highlight it again. I mean, it would take a huge amount of time to do that. But like I said, I could do it, and then I could, like, so I've removed North Bergen, so I could come back into here and put in. That's not what I want. That's what I want. I could put in. Now let's see. How big was Fort Lee? Fort Lee was set up as 100, so this needs to be put in as a tiny town. I think. You know what? I think originally this, I can't remember, but I think North Bergen originally was a town of about 150. So I think maybe put it back in as a tiny town. But this is the thing. You've got to play around with this. I mean, when I did my City Skylines London map, I spent hours and hours and hours and hours play testing that map to make sure that everything worked. And yeah, and that's the same thing when people are building maps, in whatever game it is. You've actually got to play test them. It's not just how it looks at the start, and this looks fantastic at the start. You've got to play test it. You've got to make sure the darn thing works. So what I would do is come back over here, and put in a town, I think we'd probably put it in as tiny. So if I put it there, and you can see it building a bit. Okay, so it's put it in, and it's pretty much filled that spot because, look, it's gone in. Even though it started at 60, it's already applied some bonuses. It's currently 208. So this should be North Bergen, so I'll rename it. North, because I mean, San Antonio here just looks weird. North Bergen. Okay, now if I crank this up, and then we take a look at it. Okay, so with the bonus up at around, what are we? We're 460 at the moment. So 460. We're up around 200 residents at the moment, but we should be targeting about 330. So it's still going to grow more. And just to give you an idea, look, like, and that's way big enough, way big enough. Remember, these are going to grow a bit more because we're going to have more connections, like loads more connections. So they are going to get bigger. But it means that I've got to do this for all these places. Like, well, certainly all the places. So laggy with the bulldozer. Yeah. Which, I mean, it's a huge. I don't even know why I'm thinking about doing it, to be honest. We would also have to, I think, get rid of some places because, like, some of this is really kind of unnecessary. It's like, if we're doing Jersey, like, do we really need, like, Passaic? Do we really need Passaic? I think maybe Passaic we could do without and just, like, call it a day here. What else could we get rid of? I mean, do we really need to do Staten Island? I don't know. I mean, I suppose it would be nice to have the Staten Island ferries going backwards and forwards, so maybe we could leave St. George. But with the ships that we've got, it's always going to be difficult to do that and make a profit or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we could still, I suppose, do it. Well, like, what else could I get rid of? I'm just looking at, like, Rockaway Beach and thinking, okay, this is the smallest it can be, and it's already, like, filling up that whole area. How big is Breezy Point? I'm guessing that's tiny as well. Yeah, that's tiny. It has actually stayed within this area, though. It hasn't expanded over there, which is good. Let's have a look. Coney Island. See, Coney Island, 109. It really shouldn't be. That should be a 60. That should be a tiny. I would think the same with, yeah, Midwood should be a tiny, I think. Fort Hamilton, same. Flatbush, yeah, like every single one of these. See, now that one is tiny. And that's what we want. That's only at 420. Now, by the time that gets up to, like, around, say, 600%, that'll be, like, huge. Yeah, it's going to be like 500. It's going to be getting on for like 500 people. And then you look at how crazy big some of these places are. Like, starting off at 240 for Brooklyn. No way. That should be, like, maybe that should be a small rather than a tiny. I grant you, but it shouldn't be any bigger than that. Williamsburg. Let's see, Williamsburg was only 100, and that should have started off as a tiny. That, you know, Long Island, I would think probably. Let's have a look. This is the thing. You've got to look at each individual one and figure out, like, how much space is it going to fill, how big is it going to grow, because we do want this map, certainly around Manhattan, to be filled, because that's how it is in the real world. The problem is we've got to work within the confines of the game. Now, I've got an absolute beast of a computer, and it can't deal with this. So what's the point? What's the point having a map like this if you can't deal with it? So yeah, like, any town which is not kind of key to this is gonna have to go. For example, Shelter Island. Like, what's the point having Shelter Island there? Like, are you really going to put a ferry out to Shelter Island? I mean, realistically, no. That should go. Sag Harbor, it's not on any of the Long Island lines, so that could go. What else? What else? What else? What else? Are there any... It is, I've got to say, it is kind of hard to find towns that aren't on any of the lines, though. But, you know, I might be tempted to get rid of Breezy Point and just have Rockaway Beach fill this up. Are there any towns around here that maybe... So we need Laurelton, we need Valley Steam, we need Lynbrook, Oceanside. But I don't know, maybe I should take out like every other station or whatever, so just have like Massapequa, Babylon, and not have Lindenhurst. Because if you look at it, they're so damn close to it. I mean, look, you've only got like that stretch of track, which is kind of crazy on this scale. Now, if you got rid of like every other town or something, then maybe you'd have a chance of this map actually working. Because this, oh man, this is huge. This is... PCs just aren't going to be able to cope with this at all. And getting rid of these. I mean, I'll just do this actually so that you can see. Let's pause this, and I'll just give myself like 40 million so I can actually demolish these. But you'll see what I mean about deleting these. If I delete this, it gets rid of all the roads as well. It's not just the buildings, right? And the problem is that if I did that over here, then I would have to recreate the Manhattan road system, which... So I suppose at that point, I'm just going to pose the question to you guys. What do you want me to do? Do we say, oh, you know, it was fun up to this point, but, you know, maybe leave it at that? Or, oh my God, it's so much fun, we really want to like build out the whole thing? But I'd say I was really getting into this. I was looking forward to building these lines. I want to do the lines down to Rockaway and all that kind of stuff. I want to do the subway as best I can, you know, put in the A and the E and all the different lines. Have some lines going up to Jersey and whatever. Manage the traffic. So yeah, do we can it? Do I think about trying to downsize these towns, or can you guys come up with another alternative? But it's either can it. There's no point going any further because the lag, even at this point, the lag's too bad. Look, that little stuttering, it drives me crazy. I'm sure it would drive you crazy. Now, okay, like when we're doing ride videos and whatever, and I do it on like normal speed, yeah, that's fine. It's all running smooth. But the thing is, we do spend a lot of time with the game on fast. And look, oh, it's horrible, isn't it? So I guess, guys, vote. Leave me a comment and vote. What do you want? It's either do something else, so quit this map, do something else, or downsize the towns, or if you can come up with some other way of doing it to rescue this. I don't know. But I tell you, even if you vote for downsizing the town, do I really want to go around and do that? God, it would be horrendously painful. Now I could go back to the original map, which would be easier, but then of course I've got to rebuild everything that I've already built. So there's that as well. But then the thing is, if I downsized everything, I wouldn't necessarily need to put in all the connections, that like all these bus routes and whatever that I've put in. Because the reason I've put in all the bus routes is to try and get rid of as many cars as possible. But if the towns were smaller, I wouldn't necessarily need to do that as much. So yeah, I'm in about 15 different minds as to what to do. But I thought I would pose the question to you. I will look at your feedback and then I'll make a decision, and I'll let you know what we're going to do. So guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the series to this point. What's going to happen next? I don't know. But if you want to find out, well, I don't know. Leave me a comment, or I'll catch you for the next one. Whether it's this or a new series, I don't know. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks guys. Peace out.